You're watching TVC Breakfast. It's time for us to look at the headlines across Nigerian newspapers. And to make sense of all of these today, I have with me here lawyer Jide Ologun. Jide, good morning.
Good morning,
and
Mr. Mike.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Great. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Right. Now let's begin with the Vanguard newspaper. That's where we're starting from. Vanguard says Magodo land tussle drama as police from Abuja defy Sanwo Olu's quit order. Governor Sanwo Olu says, call your superiors in Abuja, tell them I want you to disengage right now. But the CP replies, says, or the CSP rather, replies and says, you can call them yourself, sir. I am too low or small to call them. You know, it was some, I guess some people have seen that video when it went out of the engagement. In major, This Day newspaper is next. This Day says, in major test of governor's powers as chief security officer, police defy orders from Sanwo Olu, claim they were acting on instructions from higher authorities. Lagos governor stands his ground, prevails, invites parties to a meeting today. All right. This Day, that's the one. And then we move to the Nigerian Tribune. Magodo estate standoff, that's the topic here. CSP sent by IGP AGF refuses Sanwo Olu's directive. Governor to meet affected parties for peaceful resolution today. And the meeting is supposed to be fixed for 11 o'clock this morning. That's the Nigerian Tribune. First News is next. Magodo eviction crisis. CSP defies Sanwo Olu's stay order. All right, that's First News there. Then This Nigeria is next. Power show at Magodo. How police CSP defied Sanwo Olu's order. Says we're under directives of IGP and AGF. Governor to meet with feuding parties today. All right. That's This Nigeria. Blueprint newspaper is next. AGF Malami, why federal government is yet to gazette bandits, kidnappers as terrorists. All right, that's what the Blueprint is saying. It says judicial pronouncement has given effect, gazette mere formality. Your position indicating lack of political will to end terrorism. Middle Belt Forum is saying this, and several other writers there. The Nation newspaper is next. Federal government set to gazette order classifying gunmen terrorists. All right. Police interest will, or public interest rather, will guide Buhari's decision on Nnamdi Kanu's release, says Malami. All right. These are all issues on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Let's go to Daily Times. Daily Times says federal government's delay in declaring bandits as terrorists. Afenifere Middle Belt Forum blast Malami over a statement. Delay in declaring bandits as terrorists is because federal government is following international best practices, says Malami there. That's the Attorney General of the Federation. That's Daily Times. All right, from there, let's go to Daily Sun newspaper. Bloody day in Kaduna. Bandits kill 9, injure 5, steal 250 goats. Troops eliminate 2 terrorists. All right, that's really a sad one there. Okay, that's on the front page of the Daily Sun. Daily Champion is next. And it says APC governors to Jonathan, don't be deceived to dump PDP for 2023 presidential ticket. All right, APC governors to Jonathan, don't be deceived to dump PDP for 2023 presidential ticket. Party plotting to embarrass Jonathan, Adeyanju is alleging, and ex-president must support Igbo presidency, Ohaneze insists. Well, these are all issues on the front page of the Daily Champion. News Direct is next. Shake-up in Nigerian Air Force as Chief of Air Staff appoints new branch chiefs. AOC's others. Appointment morale booster for officers and experts. Experts are saying this. And deployment to assist Chief of Air Staff to achieve the vision. Adamu is saying this, all right? That's News Direct. National economy is next. And he says, lack of trust in government fuels resistance to subsidy removal as Labour prepares for nationwide protests February. All right, that's national economy. The Guardian newspaper, barely 1 year to go. Buhari appoints economic advisor. Zaka. Appointment is a vote of no confidence in the National Executive Council. That's what Zaka is saying here from this quote. Salami's economic thoughts at variant with President's philosophy, says Adoni. All right, it's all perspectives all there. From there, let's go to Business Day. After 2 recessions, Buhari taps Salami as chief economic advisor. Right, that's Business Day. Leadership is next. Ahead of election year, states prioritize capital projects in 2022 budgets. That's a leadership newspaper. Daily Trust is next. 5 bills that will shape economy this year. All right, Daily Trust newspaper is listing them. New laws to replace archaic provisions in Customs Act, others. Government can borrow more for critical reforms. Right, these are all perspectives on the front page of the Daily Trust. The Punch newspaper is the last one we're looking at now. All right, AMCON lists 7,912 names owing 4.4 trillion naira as deadline expires today. National Assembly has directed we publish debtors list. Corporation is saying this. This is final warning. Don't be taken by surprise. AMCON tells debtors. All right, that's the front page of the Punch newspaper. Right now, let's get into the issue here. Magodo has been on the news for the past few weeks now, and a lot of people who don't understand the history of it wonder what's going on in Magodo. The governor was there yesterday, and there was some little mild drama there where the governor was telling the police to stand down, and there was also the issue of, okay, we have orders from Abuja, and so on. But we have the lawyer here to bring us perspective and insight into all of this. Jide, well, the word I understand is Magodo, right?
Magodo, yes.
Magodo, yes. Not Magodo, the way we call it.
That's the new normal. Just like some people call Alausa.
Yes.
Alausa.
Alausa. Okay, but Alausa.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of the names we call these days, if you hear their original source names, they're very different, really. Absolutely. Very different. Yeah. But it's all right. That's for knowledge purpose. I think the Magodo has come to stay now, maybe. Give us an idea. I know you've been following this development. For those who may not necessarily have been aware of what's going on in Magodo between residents and the issue of the state government on one hand and the police on the other hand, and all of that. What's the issue there?
Let's say the background. This is a case between the Adeiga and the Shangisha Landlord Association and the Lagos State government. Seat number ID 75988, and the claims was that between 1984 and 1986, the then military governor of Lagos State took over a portion of the land, with the intention or express intention of constructing ultramodern hospital, for public use, like they say, public interest. But surprisingly, according to the claimants, the portions of land were allocated to individuals not for the purpose for which the government took over the land. And the government has promised to compensate, and that promise has not been effectively fulfilled. And that led them to go to court in 1988. So this is a matter that has been on for about 37 years. And the matter that started in the Lagos High Court went all the way to the Supreme Court. And suddenly, I think on the 21st of December 2021, 21/12/21 is coded. People saw a possession taken, which means that the judgment of the Supreme Court is to be executed. And what followed is what we are still monitoring now. Policemen came from Abuja to aid the execution of the judgment. And if it were to be before 1963, you could appeal to the Privy Council in the UK, but the Supreme Court is the final court right now in Nigeria after 1963. And what could have happened was to have brought in a political solution, which is likely to still come in now. But there are legal issues also. Even when you have a judgment, there has to be the captive area of the judgment. And the Magodo Resident Association had to, resist the attempt to execute, because they came with bulldozers, and you know what that means. The moment a building is pulled down, it can be very devastating. And the Lagos State government promised to intervene, and that is why the governor is saying this is not a case between the plaintiffs and the residents. It's between the Adeiga family, the Shangisha Landlords Association, and the Lagos State government.
Yeah.
And I hope and pray that the government will be able to resolve this, because the Resident Association and Landlords Association of Magodo, they've really tried to resist this execution of judgment. And some of the issues here now is that the leader of the team, when the governor asked him to deactivate, responded by saying, no, I'm not answerable to the governor. I recognize you as the chief security officer, but I take my instruction from the Inspector General of Police, who is working right now in collaboration with the Attorney General of the Federation. And these are issues we have been discussing for years now that touches on restructuring, because you would have expected that on arriving Lagos, that honor is given to the state governor through the Commissioner of Police, who himself has been recently promoted to AIG, before implementing. But now we have order from above. And for those of us who deeply engage research, you may now put this side by side what happened at the Lekki toll gate in November 2020, and why it might have been difficult for the government to curtail the insecurity in the land at the federal level. Because if you consider the 1963 Constitution, there was provision for state policing. So this is a very beautiful opportunity now for governance stakeholder to start engaging. And right now, I'm making reference to the 109 senators, 360 House of Reps members who represent the citizens at the legislative level. Because if you push this restructuring matter to the table of the president, the president will tell you, it's not within my purview of responsibility. That is for the legislative arm. So we need to look at all this, because it's quite embarrassing for the police officer to defy the directives of the governor. But we must give kudos to the governor for stepping in to contain that situation, because it's been quite traumatic.
All right.
But having said all this, in the order of the police hierarchy and ethics and code of conduct, and the policeman could have been right by saying, no, I take instruction from someone. So what we need to deal with in Nigeria now is that who gives the instruction? I mean, must we have a true federalism where the instruction is given within the state for a more effective engagement? And of course, the case itself is another issue. About 37-year case, did we diligently follow up, or did the government just assume that, let it be.
All right. Now, some of the questions people are asking is the case in question is a case under the state government, and is within the purview, because when it comes to the issues of land and all of that is on the residual list, where the state government has absolute constitutional rights and jurisdiction around the issue. People are asking, what is the interest of the federal government sending security agencies, to, in the eyes of the law, how does that apply? Because this is totally a state issue. Like the governor said, this is an issue between the families here who were here before and the state government.
The matter went all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
You see, so that gives it a national coloration.
Okay.
And again, your mind may be trying to reflect an ideal situation, which we obviously do not have in the country. You see, so when people have issues like this, they go for help. And this time around, the Magodo Residents Association and Landlord Association, they've gone seeking help from the state government. Hey, step into this matter. And the family, the Adega family, they've gone to the top. They say order from above. So I just made a reference. It's like asking, couldn't Lagos State have been able to deal with the Lekki, the NSAS protest at the Lekki gates? The governor tried, but eventually the federal government had to come in. You see, so it's part of the challenges we have. So there are still loopholes in all these that may prompt legal engagements and stuff like that. But by and large, we must come to the point where the rule of law prevails. But the question now is that, have we developed that culture of allowing the rule of law? Recently, the home of Honorable Justice Mary Odili, a Supreme Court justice, was invaded by some, how do I describe them? Maybe gunmen. And even one of them claimed that he was acting on instruction, that he was a consultant to the Attorney General of the Federation. And reportedly, a search warrant was obtained from a magistrate court. He says, so why you put all this together? I think it's pointing to one direction, that we need to refine our system and allow the rule of law. There are several issues here. I just asked a question now. This matter went all the way to the Supreme Court. We just concluded a case in the Supreme Court, and to the glory of God, in our favor. 15 years. But we monitored it bumper to bumper because it was a very sensitive one. High Court, Court of Appeal, and then, again, there is this issue of trust capital. According to the Adega family and the Shangisha Landlord Association, the government took this land from them for public interest, but eventually ended up in private interest, in court. There are other instances around the country where land is possessed. We give respect to the land use decree that translated to the Act of the National Assembly, by virtue of which the state has authority to manage the land. But having said that also, it did not completely knock out the interest of the primary owners of the land. In fact, there was a case between the federal government and Lagos State in respect of some land in Lagos. For example, a portion of the land in the Ikeja GRA, Ikoyi, and some parts belong to the federal government. And the Lagos State government went to court that no, this land cannot be in Lagos, and you are claiming ownership. The matter also went all the way, I think, to the Supreme Court. And the decision was that the federal government owns this land. There's nothing you can do about that, even though it is in Lagos State. And Lagos State came with a very beautiful approach. That fine, we are not going to argue with this. particularly when we've been to the apex court, that Lagos State retains the right to manage the use of the land. So the federal government may own the land, but before you build on it and use it, it is in Lagos State. You have to come to us and ratify. So there are several aspects of our laws that we need to fine-tune. Again, the issue of Omonile, and there are templates of the world that we can study. If, for example, the housing policy of the government is developed to the point that the government is fully responsible building houses to people, and I suspect, I cannot confirm that could have been the case in Libya, because Libya had a very wonderful welfare package for the citizens under Mama Gaddafi, of blessed memory. So, and these are, so this is now a test of the system we have on ground, because we are now talking of a valid court decision that deserves execution, that is traumatic in execution, and that requires political solution so that we manage the consequences, because there are two options. The family can say, okay, the family even said the government promised them land, which they never fulfilled. That, okay, we give you land, and that is, we are now talking about where can you get that chunk of land that commands the value Magodo commands, because I was telling someone, we sold the land in Magodo years ago for 750,000 naira near the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. But today, the same land, we'll be talking of hundreds of millions. You see, so these are issues. How
if we have to approach, like you said, the point there is, right now, there's nothing anybody is going to do. The Supreme Court has come up with the judgment and all of that, but the issues are still there. As much as, all right, the Supreme Court judgment was clear as to, okay, Lagos State compensate these people and all of that, but the confusion now is to, are they going to take the same land that was taken from them, and all of that, or will Lagos State allocate a different portion? That, like you said, where are you going to get that kind of a chunk of land together for? Or are you going to fragment, okay, take 2 by 2 here, take 7 by 100 here, and so on. But how challenging would it be to, because we're expecting that meeting to hold today at 11 o'clock.
I pray that God grants my Governor Jide Ologun and his team wisdom to handle this. There are options without preempting. The residents assume may come that, okay, now you have this judgment, now we know our position. Don't bring down our houses. Let's sit and talk. Okay, we bought this land for 80 million naira when we bought. Now you have a judgment. You may value it at 120 million. Okay, what can we do? Can we negotiate with you so that we all make contributions, give you, and the government will give you land elsewhere to cushion the impact? But I can let you know that the best solution right now is a roundtable solution, an amicable solution, because you cannot preempt what may happen if, and that's why I must also at this point commend the Magodo Residents Association for rising up to the occasion. That's what we call proactive crisis management, because you cannot imagine that you went to work and you are back and houses
and your house is
I
down.
Actually went to the estate to see. It's amazing, all those inscriptions, possession taken 21/12/2021, and like I said, it's a case that started in 1988, ID 795. So right now, but I believe that the governor will be able to bring political. It's just like the case of the VAT collection. Governor Wike went to court to say the federal government has no authority to collect the VAT.
Exactly.
The matter is, before the Supreme Court, but the government is saying, let's sit down.
Yeah.
And don't let us go legalistic. So maybe if it were to be before the Supreme Court decision, it would have been easier. But then all things are possible, and I believe that the Lagos State government has the capacity. But then, please, I'm also amplifying the need for us to sustain the advocacy for true federalism in Nigeria.
All right.
So that we don't have this case of order from above, and so that.
All right. All right, thank you so much. Your insight has brushed the understanding, our understanding, you know, from the legal perspective of what all of these things could be. But at the end of the day, roundtable is where the solution will always be. And we expect that meeting by 11 o'clock. The governor has called for a meeting of all the stakeholders today at 11 o'clock a.m. And we certainly will be looking forward to how that issue will be solved.
That is public relations in action.
Oh, exactly.
I wish my governor and all the stakeholders
yes,
the
wish
best.
them well. Thank you so much, Jide Ologun, for your time on the program.
Thank God, and
Thank
God
you.
bless Nigeria.
Yeah, God bless Nigeria always.